Hello friends, in this video I will show you how I replaced two seals in this Whirlpool dryer that's almost 30 years old. Coming right up. Now I have another video that I did a couple years ago where I take apart the entire back and I show you exactly how to take it apart and put everything back together, how to clean it out and so forth. In today's video I'm going to show you how to replace the seals. So I have to be honest, when I started this project, I did not intend on making a video about this because I had already created a video. However, once I got the back panel off and saw how much lint was covering all the components of the back, I thought, I need to replace the seals. So how about I go ahead and create a video to help others out in my same situation. If you haven't taken apart your dryer yet and you've had it for a long time and you've never cleaned out the lint, then you really need to take care of that because this is really a fire hazard. Dryer lint is a major cause of house fires in our country. So if you haven't done that yet, then I'll post a video of how to do all that at the end here so that you can get going on taking things apart. But if you haven't done it for a while, then what you might want to do before you take anything apart is, number one, identify your model number, and then number two, order the seals ahead of time so that when you go to do the whole project, you have the seals and you can put them on. Now, you may not need the seals, but if you have an older model and you have never replaced them, then it might be time to replace them anyway. So now, where do we find the model numbers on our machines? Let me show you where I found mine and where it might be on yours. Depending on your machine, you might have a model number up here. It might be in the back corner here. It may be somewhere across the back over here, or even up top here. My machine has the model number as you open the door right down here on the panel. So take a look around, and then if you still don't find it, type the name of your machine into Google, and that might be helpful for you. Okay, the tools that you'll need for this particular project are Phillips head screwdriver, a drill with a nut driver on it, shop vac or a vacuum cleaner of some sort, lint brush, one of these works really well, a flashlight or a light to help you see, of course, your new seals, and then of course a little bit of patience will take you a long way. And then of course, before we get to any of this, be sure that you're emptying the lint catcher here. I have to empty this one, don't I? We did laundry last night. Make sure that's cleaned out every single time you do a load in the dryer, and that way it's going to help keep the lint from going to the back to begin with. Something else you can do periodically, it doesn't take too much time at all, is make sure you have a lint brush that you can get down into the chute area and clean that out. You can do that once a week, once a month, and that'll help get all the lint out that's accessible that way. Right now there's no lint down there because I've already cleaned it out. Let me show you how I did it. After taking off the back panel, there was plenty of lint all in here, so I've already vacuumed out most of that. This is where the gasket needs to be around here, and as you can see, the lint's coming out here, and you can see down here too. I'll need to replace that gasket. So I have a gasket here, and I have a gasket up there to replace. So we'll go ahead and order them. And this is what the back channel looks like, or the back flue. And I have quite a bit of lint in here, a little bit more than I was expecting. This gasket's pulling off pretty easily all the way around. It started right about there, and I just pulled it up and around. And let's see if it keeps going. Yeah, look at that. Nice. So I'll go ahead and pull this off too. And this one down here is pretty much gone, so I want to put see if I can clean this up with a little bit of Gooby Gone, something like that, so this is nice and clean. So when we get the new gasket, it'll stick on there nicely, and I'll do the same thing down here. And it's just completely dried out. Okay, you'll want to go ahead and poke around through the access opening at the bottom here. Just look at all that dust that's in there and all that lint. So you'll want to get back in there with your vacuum cleaner or at least a brush of some sort so that you can get that as much of that cleaned out as possible. Careful using your brush back down in here. Be very gentle, watch the wiring. These brushes do a nice job of collecting lint and dust. And that comes out pretty good. You could actually go through the front and take off the front panel, but to do that you'll need to have somebody to hold the drum, or else the drum will fall, and then you'll have to take care of that. And then just give a little scrub to the wheel here. Keep this vent brush handy because it can get into all those places that your shop vac can't necessarily get to. So we already did down below here. We got that pretty clean. And also, if you can get up top here, go ahead and do the up top there. Anywhere that you can get here, just be gentle of all the wiring down here. You don't want to disrupt any of that. All right, our next activity on this project, I'm going to take my Gooby Gone and try to clean all that off there. If Gooby Gone doesn't work, then I'll try to find some acetone, also known as nail polish remover. So we'll go to the acetone if necessary. All right, this Gooby Gone is pretty easy to handle, so I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit into this cap here, and then I'm going to use my gloved finger and just dab it all around. I'll let that sit for a little bit and see if that pulls that off without going to the acetone. Okay, in a completely shocking turn of events, this came off quite easily, I have to say. So I took my Gooby Gone and I just smeared it all around where the gasket was. And then I took my nice abrasive, well, semi-abrasive sponge here, and I just scrubbed it off. So with that in mind, you could probably just get away with a nice, if you don't have anything like Gooby Gone or acetone at home, then you could probably just use whatever cleaner you have, squirt it on there, let it sit for a little bit, and then give it a nice scrub here. That came up quite nicely. You could even go a step further and get a brush out and get all this in between here, but I think for our purposes, that looks pretty good. Now, while I was doing that, I was letting this area down here sit with the Gooby Gone on it. So again, I will take my sponge and I'll give it some elbow grease all the way around, and I'm hoping that that gains the same result as what we did up top here. All right, let me give it a go. I'll be back in a minute. This gasket wasn't quite as dried up and as far as gone as the top one. So this one's giving me just a little bit more trouble. I've already scrubbed it one time, and you can see there's still a little bit of residue around there. So I'm gonna put on a second layer of Gooby Gone and see how that helps. Take a look at my sponge here, and there's a lot of kind of gook in there. So this was just a little bit more gooey than the top. So it's become just a little bit more work for this one. This, my friends, is looking pretty good. It's still a little tacky, so I found a bottle with just a little bit of alcohol left in it, and I'm going to rub it on a rag and see if I can get a little bit more of that tackiness off. Other than that, though, it's in pretty good shape to go. In the comments below, let us know if you don't have at your house, if you don't have Gooby Gone, if you don't have acetone or nail polish remover, what is something else to help folks get this stickiness off of here? Again, you could probably do most of this with just a regular cleaner, household cleaner. I just like to get a little bit more of this tackiness off of here. So let me do the alcohol, see if that helps us out at all, and then we'll get moving and put on the new gasket. Okay, feeling pretty good now. Just about all the tackiness is gone from there. I think we're in good shape here. I even took a couple minutes and wiped off the fins. We could keep going and going and going. I'm sure we could take this entire piece off. Let's not get to that point. So let's get the gasket going here, and we'll get all this put back together. Now I have the two seals here. I actually had to wait a day to do all this because the appliance store locally had to order these. This is the lint trap seal. This is the eye up around here. That's going to go up around here, and then down here, this is the dryer seal. So I'll put these links down below. Just make sure you get the right number here for your particular unit. And again, those seals will go with a number of different brands. So we'll go ahead and put that upper seal, or the lint trap seal. We're gonna kind of put it around this part right here. And hopefully that goes very smoothly. All right, so we'll go ahead and pull this seal, or the backing of the seal, off. And we're going to start right down here. And we're going to try to keep it right where it's proud of. And so just it's not necessarily formed. Meaning it's just a straight seal that you kind of have to form as you put it on here. I honestly thought this was going to be like a custom-made seal. For this part, but all right. No, this fits. Probably could be a little bit lower down up there. Okay, so when you do this, try to make sure this stays. I went a little off track up here. I'm not too worried about that, but that could have been down a little bit further. And came right around. Let's get the dryer seal on. We're going to do basically the same thing here. And again, for this one, we'll start right about here and work our way around, trying to stay right where the old one was. Kind of see the outline. There's a little bit of a form right there in the middle. So we're going to try to stay right on that. Again, this is not a custom seal, meaning it's just a straight, really just a straight piece of foam that you're trying to make curve around here. And just be patient, pulling off the back as you go. And then once we get everything back together, whatever we put on here is going to help hold this seal in place anyway. But we certainly want to make sure we have it on the right spot here. Yeah, I thought this one's not long enough. Gonna have to go back and kind of stretch this one out. This one is not long enough. All right, so as you're putting these on, you might want to pull just a little bit to make sure it stretches out. I went back and I pulled a little bit too much, and this part up here is a little bit thin, but it's still going to provide coverage there. Down here looks great, and of course now I have a little bit left over here. And actually, that's the way the original was. I don't know if you recall, but the original looked just like this, but over there. As a matter of fact, this one up here on the original overlapped a little bit as well. So this one went on pretty precise. Down here, overlap there. I think we're good. Let's go ahead and get everything back together and see if we can get this running again. Remember, as you're putting this back in, careful of the wires you have up here, and you're just kind of easing it in back and forth, and getting it up there so we can set it on that lip down below. And then we need to go ahead and add the 2 screws up top there and put everything back in order here. And you can kind of feel as you're pressing in there that it's meeting the seals that you just put in, and that makes a nice, makes a nice seal for you. And that will keep all that lint in the trap, and it won't let it go all over the back of your dryer. And it'll just be a more pleasant experience every time you run the dryer. And you just feel it all the way around. Make sure I can feel the seal all the way up there. Feels good. Down here, I can see it all the way around over there. This really presses in there, and that's going to be a great seal no matter where that ends up, because the hole in here is not that big. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit more vacuuming in here. There's a couple spots where I see some dust, just to be sure I have everything that I can possibly get. Then I'll go ahead and put the cover back on, and we should be good to go. All right, so as I'm putting this back together, my duct hose will come out here, and this fitting will go over that, and it'll go outside. Be careful when you put these back together that you don't over tighten. I don't know if you can tell in the video, but that's a little bit warped down there. It's because I had this band tightened a little bit too much for the last 2 years or so. I tell myself all the time not to over tighten it, but it looks like I did. So I went out and bought myself a new one that I'll put on there. And this time, hopefully, let's see, it's got to go this way. And this time I will strive to make sure when I put all this together, and I'll look at it, and it will still be perfectly round. If you see that it's a little bit out of round, then that means you've tightened it a little bit too much. And it's easy to do because you want to make sure everything stays together. But just be sure you don't over tighten this. So it needs to go that direction. So once I put it all together, that'll fit in right there. The air goes that way, and we'll be in good shape. All right, so we're hooked up here, and my vent hose goes all the way around the back. Now, I have discovered one of the most difficult tasks in all of this is reattaching that vent hose to the back of the dryer way down there. So for that, I have created found a hook at Home Depot, put it on a piece of 1x, a couple feet long, maybe 3 feet long. And that helps me reach way down in here. And raise this piece up just where it needs to be, and let me push it in where it has to go. I'm going to need to put my phone down so that I can do this. I'll be back in just a minute. All right, give that last final tap, make sure it's in place. And the dryer kind of backs it up against the wall there. So generally that is how things work. So there you have it. Not a really difficult job, but it does take time. And if you don't have all your materials that you need as far as the seals go, you might need to wait a day or a week if you order them until you can get everything put back together. So I do recommend to go ahead and purchase these. They're not that expensive, so that you have them when you take things apart, and you can put it all back together the day that you take it apart. All right, that's it. Until I see you on the next video, thanks for joining me here on Lenderman Shop. Take care.